Another day and another set of trade speculation surrounding this Miami Heat team and their star player, Jimmy Butler. Now we have brand new information surrounding the Golden State Warriors and one of their key young pieces and how he may be more available than ever. We'll break down all of that right now on this episode of Heat Digest. But first, remember, if you're part of the 80% who are currently watching this video who are not currently subscribed, please scroll down, click the subscribe button. It only takes a few seconds. We do appreciate all the love and support. So thank you guys for all of that. But now let's get to it and break down how, if we're going to get a Jimmy Butler and Jonathan Kuminga trade. Again, this is not the first time we've had this conversation on this Heat Digest channel during the offseason. Obviously, we were putting out videos every other day on Jimmy Butler in the trade speculation that he and this Miami Heat team were going through day after day. And obviously, now that we're 6 games into the NBA season, it obviously has not gone away. And now we are getting new reports of, again, stuff that we have already covered before, just with new information surrounding the idea that Jonathan Kuminga might be more available than ever. Now, this is titled NBA Rumors, Warriors, quote, more willing than ever, end of quote, to trade Kuminga. Jimmy Butler linked. And this is written by Adam Wells just 2 days ago on November 1st. And again, I don't believe Jimmy Butler is going to be traded this season. I believe if the Miami Heat were going to move someone as important and impactful as Jimmy Butler, it would have come early in this past offseason to allow a lot of time to allow this Miami Heat team to grow and develop together to then enter this NBA season as a put-together team, not one that is, just adding pieces here and there as time gets closer and closer, and it makes everything a bit more of a panic. But then we'll move on to the article where it goes on to say, per The Athletic's Sam Amick and John Hollinger, rival NBA executives believe the Warriors are, quote, more willing than ever, end of quote, to include Jonathan Kuminga in a trade, and they are keeping an eye on Jimmy Butler if the Miami Heat decide to move the 6-time All-Star. Again, I'm not believing the idea that Jimmy Butler will be moved from this Miami Heat team. But again, if the Warriors are open to trading Jonathan Kuminga, I think this is their best chance to possibly persuade this Miami Heat team to move someone like Jimmy Butler because of how young Jonathan Kuminga is and really the upside of his game. Now, this article goes on to say, perhaps the biggest indicator was Golden State elected not to give Kuminga an extension before the deadline for players to sign new deals passed on October 21st. And I do have more details about this contract as the article goes on to say, per The Athletic's Anthony Slater, the Warriors and Kuminga, and I quote, were never all that close, end of quote, on a new deal, even though the team was offering him in the range of $30 million per season. A full rookie max contract was valued at $224 million over 5 years. So I'm not sure why Jonathan Kuminga and the Golden State Warriors hadn't come to a decision with a contract, especially if numbers like this were being thrown around. Now, if you don't know, Jonathan Kuminga is only 22 years of age. He's only been in the league for, here, I have his stats here. He is only 22 years of age. He's played in 6 games this NBA season. The Warriors are now 5-1 on the year. Obviously, they just lost Curry for a little bit of time. Obviously, he's not going to be out for the remainder of the year. But again, a significant piece, whether he's out for 15 minutes or 15 games, he's a significant piece. He's Steph Curry. Obviously, the load is going to move over to a few other players, Andrew Wiggins and a bunch of others. Jonathan Kuminga is going to be one of those guys where he has to step up in order to produce wins for this Golden State Warriors team. So we could see someone or somewhat of a boost in his statistical production and overall value at face value, if you will. And then the Golden State Warriors acquire Curry and then possibly move Kuminga towards the trade deadline in order to get a bunch of different assets to help this Golden State Warrior team. As we know, if you have Steph Curry on your roster, there's a good chance you're going to be in competition for whether it be championships or just top positions and seeds in your conference/division. So if we look at this roster right now, obviously it is not what it used to be. There's no way around it. A lot of names that aren't there anymore. Obviously, Klay Thompson is now in Dallas, no longer a Golden State Warrior. Obviously, Curry is out for the time being. Wiggins is still there, as well as Draymond Green, which is no surprise. I don't know if he'll ever play for another team besides Golden State before he retires. Obviously, Buddy Hield is one of the newest additions in Golden State, and he has been playing absolutely fantastic for them up to this point in the year. But again, Jonathan Kuminga, the backup power forward, really can play a lot of the 3, the 4, or even the 5, depending on how big the lineup is that they are facing on the opposing side, because of his frame and his ability to really play multiple positions and really do a lot of good on both sides of the basketball. He's not an elite defender yet, but again, being as big as he is with the frame that he has the capabilities to really be able to adapt and play a defensive role for really any team in the NBA. Right now, he's averaging 13.3 points per game, a total of 3.8 rebounds per game, and 1.5 assists, and again, 1 steal and half a block. Again, this is through 6 games. He started in half of these games up to this point for the Warriors. Again, just not the overall statistical production that they were really anticipating from this young piece in Kuminga. That again, he's been in the league. This is now his 4th NBA season. They were probably expecting a bit more statistical production, at least on the offensive end, from Jonathan Kuminga in order to really, I wouldn't say to take away the idea of possibly trading him, because I feel like because of how old he is and the fact that he's so young with the upside, if someone called, or if someone like Jimmy Butler or another big piece on any team in the NBA became available in a way, or there was conversations behind closed doors amongst GMs and other people in the organizations that a big name player was available, I could definitely see the Golden State Warriors attempting to make a trade. And for those Miami Heat, I don't know if they would. Again, I don't believe they're going to trade Jimmy Butler, especially during the year, during the NBA season. But if they were to do this trade and we were to get Jonathan Kuminga in a trade, it's a very interesting idea. And the reason I say this is because we're not going to do Jimmy Butler straight up for Jonathan Kuminga. There's no chance. Yes, he has the young upside. Yes, he has a bunch of abilities that we have yet to see be fully unlocked, but because of the potential, hey, we can grade him a bit higher. We're not doing it straight up. Jimmy Butler is Jimmy Butler, and if you put him on this Golden State Warrior team, first of all, him playing alongside Draymond Green, I don't know if they'll ever I don't know if they'll be allowed to. I feel like they're just going to get in fights every 15 to 20 minutes when they don't see things the right way, or likewise. So that would be very interesting. Entertainment-wise, it would be awesome to watch. I think that would be a great duo to witness. But again, I don't think it'll happen. But look at the pieces that they have. A lot of young pieces for this Golden State Warrior team. Who's untouchable? Who's tradable? Who do they not want to give up? And again, how much value do these pieces have to the Golden State Warriors organization, especially if you have someone like Jimmy Butler coming back to the organization? So these players like Wiggins, Moses Moody, Brandon I always mess up his last name. I'm not even going to try. I always mess it up. Buddy Hield, obviously Kuminga, like we just talked about, and then Kevin Looney. A lot of these young guys, Trace Jackson Davis, all these guys are very young. And again, they have a lot of upside. Again, how much value does the Golden State Warrior or team and organization really place onto these guys, and is it going to stop them from trading them to the Miami Heat if they were to make a trade with the Miami Heat? Again, we know the amount of trade assets that this Miami Heat team has. Obviously, Rozier, Hero, Butler, Jovic, Adebayo. I'm not saying all these guys are tradable. Obviously, I wouldn't be surprised if the majority of these guys were, if the Miami Heat team was open to moving them. If things didn't work, I could see anyone but Adebayo really being moved on this team. I wouldn't surprise me at all. Obviously, outside of the youngsters that we just acquired in Pelle Larsson, Jaquez, Kalel Ware, those guys I don't think would really be moved, especially in the next year and a half or so. But again, if shit hits the fan this year for Miami and they do end up making a bunch of trades, I don't see how any of these guys are not on the hot seat, if you will. Terry Rozier, Tyler Hero. Obviously, they've been playing a lot better this season, but again, we're playing in hypothetical land right now. If shit hits the fan for this Miami Heat team, and it looks a lot like it did last season, again, I would not be surprised if we saw a lot of big pieces are moved for this Miami Heat team. So, again, that'll be it for this episode of Heat Digest. Please let me know what you guys think about the idea of Jonathan Kuminga in a Miami Heat jersey. Obviously, I don't believe it's going to happen, at least this year, unless Jimmy Butler comes out and we get like 10, 2, and 3 from him, 10 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists from him statistically, night-to-night basis for the next month or two, and the Miami Heat continuously lose games over and over and over again. Yeah. By the trade deadline, Jimmy Butler will be moved. That would not surprise me. But again, as of right now, we just beat the
breaks off of the Washington Wizards last night. It was a massive, massive win. Again, if you check the base bar down below, those are the stats from that game last night. Again, a great overall performance all around from this Miami Heat team, but shout out to Bam Adebayo for having a monster bounce back game last night for this Miami Heat, propelling them to a massive win over the Washington Wizards. Again, thank you guys for watching this episode of Heat Digest, and I will see you guys on the next one.